Hey guys, Courtney Stephens here from QED Energy Associates, where we make the world's best reservoir engineering technicians. Coming to you today from our office in the Villages on the west side of Houston. That's Memorial High School right over my shoulder. It's a beautiful day, and we are grateful that TRC Consultants has allowed us to be a part of PHDwin Week 2025. Big thanks to John Smith. Thanks for being our advocate and supporter. QED loves to participate, and we appreciate you hosting a wonderful conference again this year where we can all learn and grow as professionals. I get to talk about one of my favorite things today, which is training people how to model the economics properly on accelerating reserves in late-stage shale. Over the last couple of years, I've been training production engineers how to use reserves and economic software to check the value on workovers that they're doing on late-stage shale wells. What I find time and time again is that your reserves and economic software can get in your way. It can absolutely be very cumbersome and make it difficult for you to check your rate of return on these types of projects, unless you're using a PHDwin product, in which case it's going to be super easy. This is super easy to do in PHDwin version 2 and super easy in PHDwin version 3. I'm excited today to show you how to quickly and efficiently check your economics on accelerating reserves in late stage shale on a case in PHDwin version 3. I've got a database over here that is a Woodford Shale fake database. These are not real wells. You might notice your name on this list. I did try and pick names of people that we knew would be participating in PHDwin Week, and I picked one of my favorite engineers right here, Joe Holson. Hope you're on the line, Joe. And so we're going to go ahead and look at this particular case, the Brandon Penner 1H. It looks like this well came online in September of 2012. Pretty good Woodford well we got going here. We are later in the life of this well, and my engineer has reached out to say that we might want to spend $75,000 to do a workover on this case and see if that would yield us a good rate of return on that investment. We would expect kind of a 20% increase in the rate at the time of that workover, but we would not be increasing our technical EUR. So we would need to remain EUR neutral. We wouldn't be increasing the amount of hydrocarbons that we're pulling out of that rock. We would just be accelerating the time frame by which we get the hydrocarbons out of that rock. So checking this can be tricky. There's a few critical concepts we need to be aware of. First of all, we need to remain EUR neutral on a technical EUR basis. Obviously, the economic EUR changes all the time based on the changes in economic parameters. That technical EUR is what we need to hone in on, and we need to make sure that that doesn't change as we do this evaluation. The next thing that we need to do is we want to make sure that we're evaluating that incremental change of doing this job. We are planning to recover these reserves over a specific time period that's on this forecast right now. And what we want to know is, how would our value change if we change the time frame over which we were going to recover these reserves? This is going to be fun and easy and interesting. So let's start with step 1. Let's duplicate the case. So I'm selected on this case right now in my case list. Let's right click on it and choose duplicate. When that case appears, it's going to appear on this case list right here. I'm going to flick over to the general info tab. So I'm going to be on that case. So I've double clicked this duplicate case. You'll know it's the duplicate because PHDwin is going to insert a -DUP on the case. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to change it to workover test. I'll go ahead and change the reserve category to proved non-producing. We can't call this particular case proved developed producing because the definition of PDP would be no further capital is required to access these reserves. And in this case, I am talking about future capital being required. Now, any reserves manager out there is welcome to give me a call and educate me on if I just said that wrong. I am a reservoir engineering technician, as is everyone at QED Energy Associates. Please note that our entire firm here at QED is a firm of reservoir engineering technicians, not reservoir engineers. any work that we ever provided or anything we ever said would need to be verified by a qualified professional prior to being utilized to make investment decisions. Again, we are technicians, not reservoir engineers. So I've duplicated the case. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save that. And after that saves, I'm going to refresh my case list since I did change the reserve category, and I expect that to change where it is in the case list. So now I'm just going to make sure that I am selected on that PDNP of the Brandon Pinner 1H, which I've called workover test, and that is just the duplicate of the original one. So when we're looking at this case, so now we've got our case in this PDNP category where we can do some testing. Step 2 is I am going to go over here on this projection ribbon on the right hand side. I'm going to turn on the walk, and for that I need to go to the tools menu, hit the drop down and click walk. What that does is it gives me a little node where I can walk the walk marker around, and then I can read the parameters within the walk box. Specifically, I want to read what's happening at that point, January 1st, 2027. So I'm going to type in 01/01 2027 and hit return. So now I'm kind of reading some of the Arps parameters at that point. I like to, as a step 3, snippet with just a regular snippet tool on your computer those parameters from that box. I mainly want to know this technical EUR because, again, I'm going to highlight it for us. That isn't that great of a highlighter on that color, is it? I just want to make sure that we remain EUR neutral on a technical EUR because, again, my reserves group's going to be upset if I change the reserves of this case. I want to very specifically accelerate the reserves and not change them. As I'm exploring the Arps parameters at this point, I can definitely see that we've already hit minimum decline at this point. And that makes sense. You know, this is late stage shale. So the fact that I've got a minimum decline of 6% and we're already at 6%, that totally makes sense to me. What we can do right here is the next step, step 4. Let's add another segment to this forecast. So I'm going to click the plus button. And what that's done is that is broken up this total forecast from being one segment into being 2 segments. So this is where it becomes very important how you lock your segments. We're going to want to lock the X position, but not lock the Y position. So make sure that you see that on your ribbon up here on the projections tab. You know, your next step, step 5, is going to be lock your X position. Now, we know that for this $75,000 investment, we expect a 20% hike in the rate. So, you know, I have some magic math that I've already done for you in a little spreadsheet. On our second segment, and let me flick over to the second segment to show you, the current rate at that point, January 1st, 2027, is 5,925. So if we increase that by 20%, we're expected to be at like 7,111. Now I've got my X position locked, but I want to solve for the decline that it's going to take to stay EUR neutral, meaning not change the volume. So I'm going to drag and drop this calculator button from where it is. So I'm going to click with a left mouse click, this calculator on the ribbon in the projection section. I'm going to drag it over here to the decline because I want PHDwin to find the new decline to stay at that volume, but we're going to increase the rate. So I'm going to click in this QI box and I'm going to type that new rate, that 20% increase, 7,111. And when I hit enter, PHDwin is going to calculate for me what that decline would need to be for us to keep that area under the curve. So if I pop up my snippet, I can see that I did in fact remain EUR neutral. Let's just really make sure. 0.22 versus 0.23. I think all reserves engineers out there would agree that on a technical EUR basis that we remained EUR neutral. What we have done is we've created a projection that's now in 2 segments and it hikes us up just a little bit with a sharper decline to hit that same EUR. Okay, now let's throw the investment on there. So on the investment tab in this particular view, I'm going to click add. And this is going to be my workover. I accidentally hit escape. I'm going to type workover one more time. On the category, I'm going to choose workover. I'm going to put the timing of this as the date 01/01/2027. And the amount is going to be, I'm going to say $75,000 of tangible, and I'm going to hit save. Now remember, whenever you're making changes, it is saving to the highest qualifier in your current scenario. So do need to make sure before you ever start work in PHDwin V3 that you are on the correct scenario. So now we need to make this case incremental to the other case. So first I'm going to drag and drop the base case, that Brandon Pinner 1H. And then I'm going to drag and drop my workover case, which is incremental to it. All right, my friends, now we can just run it. And what we're going to see is the incremental value add, just the rate of return on that portion where if we spend $75,000, what is going to be the benefit of that 20% hike and acceleration of those gas reserves without changing the total technical EUR. Let's run it. So to make a run, we'll flip over to the reports tab. I'll choose a detailed report. That's one of my favorites. I just want to run the current case. I'm going to choose cases only, and for destination, I do like that previewer. That's pretty good, so I'll click run. So the previewer is that, kind of separate reporting engine that's going to come up. I really do like this, and I'm sorry it popped up on another screen. I'll drag it over for you. I really do like this reporting window because you can make, edits within this window. I could say, well, I want a 3-volume report with NGL, and then boom, it'll auto update, the entire report for you right here within this kind of reporting program. So I like the previewer. That being said, let's check the economics on this. Is this the type of investment you would want to make? Great question to answer. And you can use the cash flow to make that decision. And now, how about real quick? Well, what if, it didn't bump it up to 7,111? What if it bumped it up to 10,000? All right, I've typed it in. Now let's go over. Let's run that report again. It's going to pop up. I'm going to drag it over for you. All right, now what if it was 15,000? Let's check it again. Projections, 15. It's changing that decline so that we could remain EUR neutral. I'm going to flip over to the report, so I'm going to run it again. Now I told you in 15 minutes or less you would be able to check the return on investment on a late stage shale well, workover job. I hope that this has made sense for you to be able to make a quick evaluation of lots of different factors whenever you're looking at cleanouts, acid jobs, workovers of late stage shale. Let's go through those steps one more time. I've made a little PowerPoint for you to be able to check out the steps. Duplicate the case. Turn on the walk function. Snippet that technical EUR so that we can go back and check it. On your projection, add the new segment at the date that we're going to do the job. Lock the X position. Drag and drop the calculator. It's going to be solving for the volume, but we want to take it and drag and drop it. Instead of solving for the volume, we want it to solve for the decline and leave the volume the same. Okay, then we're going to adjust the rate. Drag and drop both our original case and this upside escalated case to the incremental tree. Then add our investment and run it. I'm going to flip back over to PHDwin. Let's do it on another case, just to make sure we definitely know how to do it. Let's do the Brandon Pinner 2H. All right, I'm going to pretend like it's the same situation. So I'm going to duplicate the case. I'm going to double click him, and I'll go to the General Info tab. I'm going to change the name to Workover Test. Now I like to hit save in between changes I make on this tab, so I'm just going to hit save on the menu bar. And I'll change the reserve category to non-producing, and then I'll hit save again. Why do I do it that way? You know how sometimes when you're using a program, you figure out things that just feel right? That feels right to me. It's the little things that make PHDwin V3 and all the programs run very smoothly. Now on the Home tab, I'm going to click Refresh so that Brendan Pinner 2H will go down to the right reserve category. Make sure I'm clicked on him. All right, I'm going to be on the graph. I'm going to go to the Projection tab, and I'm going to turn on the walk. I'm going to type in the date at which we're going to do this job, 01/01/2027. I am going to add a new segment at that point. I'm going to make sure that my X position is locked. On that second segment, I'm going to drag and drop the calculator from where it's at over to the decline. Before I change anything, I'm going to snip at my EUR. And I'm going to remember that that's the EUR that needs to stay the same. I'm going to adjust the QI. Let's see, from 4,300. I want to go up 20%, that'd be 5,160. Now that's adjusted up. Have I maintained the same EUR? Let's compare it. 2657930. That is right. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. My next move is just to add these to the incremental tree. So I'm going to drag and drop that first one, the Pinner 2H. And now I'm going to drag and drop my incremental case. I'm going to make sure that saves. I really want to click the Save button here, but that's an implied save. So now we just run the case. Wait a minute, did I forget to add the investment? Let's do that real quick. So on this Brendan Pinner 2H, I do need to add an investment. I'm going to unpin this guy. I'm going to call this my workover. Change this to workover. The date's going to be 01/01/2027. I'm going to do $75,000 tangible. I'm going to hit save. Now I'm ready to run. I'll go over to the Reports tab. I'll make sure I'm on the detailed. I'm going to run the current case. Case is only in that previewer, which I like, and I've clicked Run. Now this popped up on another monitor, but I'm going to drag it over for you guys, and let's check it. All right, we accelerated the reserves, but did we make your metrics for making that a meaningful investment? You can check this out right now. I hope that was quick and easy. I hope that made sense. If ever you wanted to contact QED Energy Associates, just shout out. You can reach the executive team at QED, which is myself, Frankie Delgado, our Managing Director of our technical staff, Aaron Randolph, our Managing Director of Training, and Ashley Añez, our Managing Director of Sales and Operations. Anytime you can get us, all four of us, by emailing dreamteam@qedea.com. What we do is somebody's checking this email address like 24 hours a day. Even if I'm on vacation, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm checking my email while I'm on vacation, but somebody is constantly replying to our clients. So if it were the middle of the night and you needed help, this is the best way to get all of us, one of us, very quickly. You can also call the office anytime, and that number is 832-581-3758. The types of services that we provide are three things. One, we make great reservoir engineering technicians. You can try them today on a temporary basis. They could come and work at your office for 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 months. We don't mind. At the end of that term, you can choose to hire them or not. You could hire one today. We are grateful for our clients that have a lot of trust and faith in us that they don't need a temporary period. They hire our reservoir engineering techs from day one. You can use our placement services. Finally, we do have training services available. And so if you need me to teach some production engineers how to model things in reserves and economic softwares for classes of 6 or more participants, we can come on site to your office. We do devise a customized training for every person, for every company that we give training to. And so that is a long preparation time. We don't have off-the-shelf classes that we pull out and disseminate. What QED does is we meet with the stakeholders, we meet with the supervisors, we figure out where the current gaps are in people's understanding. We talk to the people, we see what they want to learn, we design specific curriculum. It's not just the same old slide deck for every training, to close the gaps that actually will add value. Why? Because I stand behind every product that I sell. And I need to make sure that if you're paying me for training, that it's going to be exactly what you need. So if you did need a training class, please leave 12 weeks ahead of time. We need notice to go ahead and start that process of interviews, surveys, and curriculum design. And we're happy to teach topics, anything from the theory of reserves and economics modeling, how to use a specific tool, how to maintain economics consistency, or how to be a professional in an upstream office. Whatever you need, we probably got you covered. If we can't do it, also, it is my policy to tell you straight up front that we can't do it. So in the past, when people have said, oh, can you train my one person? I've been like, well, let me see. I got my first ever poor Google review with somebody saying, well, Courtney Stephens didn't deliver. And in that case, it was a lady that wanted one-on-one training. And I was like, well, let me see if I can find a free spot in somebody else's class. Let me see if I can find one of my own training classes that I could slot you into a back seat. And I just never found that spot. So from now on, I just say it up front. We can only sell training classes if it's 6 or more people. And that's because of how long it takes us to put together a meaningful curriculum that I'm happy to stand behind and provide a money-back guarantee on. We would love to be of service. I do offer a money-back guarantee on any of our reservoir engineering technicians. So you know that we've trained and placed hundreds of reservoir engineering techs at energy lending banks, reserve space lending firms, reservoir engineering consulting firms, operators, minerals companies, software companies. You got 2 PHDwin wonderful employees that are trained and brought into the industry by QED. We make great techs. We do certify all of our technicians based on their competency level. So if you call me to ask about anybody that we've ever trained here at QED, I've got on file their exact competency demonstrated while they were training here with us. So we're testing them every day to see the level to which they can take their skills. So there's a difference between a QED level 5 technician and a QED level 9 technician. And so if you ever wanted to hire a technician, I'm going to listen to you and see what you need for the specific workflows in your office. And I'm not going to sell you a level 9 when you need a level 5. And obviously the pricing corresponds with those things as well. Golly, I appreciate you sitting here and listening to me do this whole sales pitch about my company and the great technicians I make at QED. Everybody over here at QED's people pleasers, and we want to make your life easier. So if ever you need our service, you know where to find me. I'm not going to come banging down your door anytime soon. But I do appreciate you being here on PHDwin Week. Again, thanks, John Smith, for having us. It is our honor to be any part of PHDwin Week. We're so grateful that you've let us do it every single year since inception. We love you guys. Signing off from the west side of Houston.